Hello and welcome into episode 21 of Looking Up with Laird here on Sorare TV. I'm Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdinho on Sorare. Joined as always by Harry Trades and Sam Tighe. Today, to add 4 more players to our Looking Up with Laird watch list on Sorare data. Before we jump in, guys, have you ever gone to get dressed one day and you just you don't know what you want to wear, and then you see something and you're like, that's what I'm wearing today? Like you just see it.
Yes.
Just happened today.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
Shirt, right?
I'm sure that knowing we were doing this video, maybe in the back of my head, it was like, oh, Sam's going to be there. Maybe, but I don't think so. I just saw it and I was like, that Christian Benteke Aston Villa kit is what I'm wearing. Shirt is what I'm wearing today.
Very good. Well, I'm wearing the same hoodie as the thumbnail again, so I must have known it was Looking Up Day 2.
I actually took the sweatshirt off that I had in that picture to put this one on. So, whoa, excuse me. Anyway, this is not a fashion show. This is about players who are looking up for the future. Given how prices seem to be going down everywhere, hopefully we can find some that are going up. Harry, I feel like you were on the ball this week. You knew exactly who you were going to talk about. Sam called you out saying he knew you were going to bring him up. So I'm going to let you start because I don't know why we would wait any longer to add another name to our list.
Yeah, so I've followed my recent trend of just scouting MLS midfielders is kind of what I'm becoming known for, on this series. But yeah, we're starting it off with Richie Ledesma, that's currently playing for New York City on loan from PSV until the 31st of December 2023. And yeah, basically made his first start, I believe, on the weekend. Yeah, made his first start on the weekend. Out of the first 4 games, came on sub the first 3. And yeah, bagged himself an assist in 61 minutes and an all-round score of 24. I watched the highlights, and I'll be honest, he stood out to me. And I'm not really that surprised. We've got a player that's American, but that got bought by PSV when he's pretty young. He's still very young, still 22 years old, under 23 until 2025. And from what I could see, I was quite impressed with it. Basically, of course, he takes set pieces and took them. I'm guessing away from. We obviously had the conversation a couple of month or so ago, maybe about Santiago Rodriguez, who he actually ended up coming off for. So Santi started on the bench and played 30 minutes. Ledesma played the 60, and yeah, they scored from the corner. Ended up being the winning goal actually. And yeah, I was just honestly really impressed with him as a player. He's sharp, pretty small, but really agile, can run with the ball well. Obviously, like I said, set pieces, looks technically good, took a few shots. And I can just see him being an absolute menace, basically, in this New York team that have struggled, I guess, start of the season. They've not really clicked yet. Look, there might be a chance, or there might be a scenario where, Santi plays one game, Ledesma comes in for the next rotations and whatever. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Laird might have a good opinion on that as well. But for the price I'm seeing him at right now, looks pretty tasty. I can't lie.
Yeah, so I think you mentioned how he came off, or excuse me, he started instead of Santi Rodriguez. They need both of them on at the same time. And while that may cannibalize each of their stats, the two of them together, I think, would be really interesting. And it'll probably end up having to be some sort of formation change because they're certainly not taking Parks or Sands out of that midfield. Maybe they play Talles Magno more as a 9 than they do on the wing, even though he's really good out there. But there's something that to have 2 players like that, I think is just really dangerous. And one of the issues that they have had this year was losing Maxi Morales, and there's just a creativity that is just missing. And while it was 61 minutes, Ledesma had that just a little bit where you're just you're not sure what he's going to do, and that alone kind of opens things up because obviously the defense doesn't know what he's doing, and so there's just a little bit more in the attack. And yeah, I think they need to get both of them on. So, but I agree with you. It might take a little bit because obviously they're splitting time at this point, but both of them are too good to not start.
100%. But we saw start of the season, obviously we did see Magno as the 9, and I don't think that is his best position. And I'm probably everyone would maybe agree with that because he was very effective last year from the left. And it looks like, well, looking at Sorare data right now, they deployed a 4-3-3 on the weekend, and yeah, they won the game, great. But like you said, it doesn't really, fit in. Santi and Ledesma might be a bit of a challenge. I don't know too much about this Segal fella up front, the one who that started, so I haven't really got an opinion on him. But yeah, like you said, can Magno come centrally, and then does that mean Santi could come in off the wing and play as like a like a winger that's not a winger, and then kind of cut in and just be creative basically as well as Ledesma, because like I said, Ledesma does look pretty quick as well. So I don't think he has to be sort of pigeonholed into like one of those number 8 sort of roles. I think he could probably play a bit higher. From the chances I saw he got in that game on the highlights, he was kind of deployed quite very far on the right basically. So I don't know. I think he could definitely play on the wing if he had to, and maybe Pereira, I don't know, goes centrally. Whatever it is, they need to somehow fit them all in, because like you said, they're creative players, and that's where their goals are going to come from. But no, he looks really, really exciting.
Yeah, I was never like the biggest Pellegrini fan, so wherever he's playing, just slot Ledesma in there in this like 4-4-2 with Santi Rodriguez and Talis Magno up. But they definitely don't have like a good enough like true 9, and so it's almost like they should just abandon the idea of having one and just throw everyone out there and see what happens.
Yeah, go Spain 2010, Fabregas up front.
There you go.
Unfortunately, it's probably more like Chelsea 2023. But yeah, I actually did watch this game, or at least I think roughly the first 60 minutes before I had to go to bed, which was basically the exact amount of minutes that Ledesma played. He looked super sharp, as you say, Harry. I was really impressed. So the reason I knew that you were going to pick him was because obviously he just joined on loan, and when you put in a performance like that, it's obviously going to catch your attention for sure. He did look pretty special. He's been playing catch up, hasn't he? Because he went to PSV and then tore his ACL or something, and he's just spent quite a long time out of the games. He's missed a lot of development. So at whatever age he is right now, like take 2 years off it, like in football terms, he's actually much younger than he appears. So he could get quite a lot better quite fast.
Yeah, I love that. Love that addition for sure. Just, yeah. Do you think he's better in a more defensive role? Like I see that like he plays a little CDM, but like not a ton. Like, do you think he's too creative for that?
Maybe, but in the MLS, I think you can probably get away with doing a bit of both, really, because he's coming from. I know he hasn't played a ton of football and stuff, so he's not like a player that's played like serious minutes in Europe, but he's clearly of that sort of caliber, I guess. Otherwise, PSV wouldn't have really bought him, right? But ultimately, yeah, I think he would be able to do that sort of more defensive role if needed. But like you said, with Sands and Parks, it's not really something that like. Yeah. I don't think he'd be called upon unless one of them, obviously, maybe Sands goes to centre back for whatever reason sometime, and Ledesma could definitely slot in though. So yeah, no, I think he's versatile.
Love it. So Sam, since you watched this one, you having someone else, another New York City FC midfielder you want to do the list?
No. I was just thinking though, like by the end of the year, how many New York City FC players will Harry have added to the list? Because we're on 3, aren't we? He's done Sands and Santi and Richie now. Any others? Yeah.
Unless they sign somebody, then yeah, I can't see
they get that 9.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was just those. Yeah, just those 3 for now.
Oh, only 3. Sorry, it's only 3.
Plenty. We got plenty of shows left. Don't worry.
Yeah, we do. Okay, fine. Let's take us away from New York City, and I am going to go for Tino Livramento of Southampton. He's back. He's back to playing football. It's been a long time. Really, really good player. Cannot overstate this enough. Like, for those of you that have forgotten Livramento or aren't too familiar with him, he basically joined Southampton last season and just set the world on fire. Like, he was absolutely amazing. And he was so good, in fact, that after a year or so, it probably would have been quite appropriate for a top team, a top 6 team, to drop 30-40 million on him and just make him their right wing back. Like, I was thinking Spurs, I was thinking Chelsea, I was looking at these teams and thinking, why would you wait more than a year? This kid is unbelievable. And then he did his knee. And it's been a very, very long time since he's played football. But last week he played 45 minutes for the B team. as the first step in his recovery. I'm sure he'll get a few more reserve minutes this weekend as well, and he's going to start ramping back up very slowly because he's had a big problem, but he's getting back into football. So I can hear you already, Laird. I can hear you. I can hear you because I said in looking back, you know, when it comes to a player who hasn't played for a while, you best measure your expectations. The difference between, you know, that previous scenario with Raul Thomas and maybe Livramento here is that if you're buying Livramento right now, it's not because you think he's going to do you a favor in the next 5 weeks, is it? That's just not the goal. The goal is next season, full preseason under his belt and launch himself into next season. And the likelihood is that season will be in the championship. If Tino Livramento is even 70% of what he was a year ago in the championship, he is going to destroy that division. And there's probably very little risk of him being poached this summer, because if he's going to cost you 30, 40 million, I'm pretty sure all those clubs with the money are going to sit there and go, well, let's see how he gets on between August and December. Let's see how his knee holds up. I mean, if there's a physical test that you can offer someone's body, it's the English Championship, my friends. It's a slaughterhouse of a division. So I don't think he's going to be poached. I think he's going to get the opportunity to play his way back to peak fitness and sharpness. Now, with the long-term injury, I'm not liking the rare price right now. You know, people are getting excited about Livramento. He's up to, you know, £90, $100, something like that. It's starting to rise. I would be cautious about that. However, at limited, at £6 or £7 or £8, under 23 potential championship slayer, give it a go. This could be something that pays off handsomely for you.
Do you think, or yeah, no, I was going to say, like, the possibility that he returns even in sort of a limited role, do you think he actually gets minutes this year, given how important every fixture is from here on out?
It's possible, because the sad reality is that, you know, if Southampton don't pick up any points in the next 3-4 games, they could be mathematically relegated by game week 35. And at that point, why not? If he's ready, why not? Yeah. So it's possible. I don't think they're going to throw this guy in when it's all on the line. But the reality is there might be 3 games at the end of this season where they're playing for absolutely nothing. And teams that have been relegated don't try and finish 18th. They just start planning for next season. If that means Livramento gets a few minutes, fine. But it's going to be in a bad team against difficult opposition in the Premier League. Like, just don't count on it. But if you've got an eye on next season, like many people are starting to look at that sort of thing now. I am too. This guy's back to fitness. He's absolutely brilliant. He's probably going to be a really good championship player if his body holds up.
What's the set piece situation here? I know James Ward-Prowse takes everything, but like if he's gone,
well,
if he's gone,
it's impossible. Yeah. It's basically impossible to say with any certainty about anything about Southampton next season. Like, I've been trying to figure it out myself, and you know, who knows what the forward situation is going to be. You know, who knows who's going to stay and who's going to go. It's really hard to tell. James Ward-Prowse, I think, has been told he can leave if they go down, and I expect he'd leave. Sure. Obviously, it opens up set pieces, but I don't think I've ever seen Livramento take a set piece. So
I don't think anybody's ever taken one other than James Ward-Prowse.
And precisely, he literally plays every minute of every season, so he takes every single set piece. Like, we literally don't know the answer to these questions.
No, yeah, we don't.
I've got a good little like comparison maybe, and it was only for a short time, but obviously we saw Nico Williams in the Championship for Fulham last season.
Oh God, yeah.
And I mean, I'm going to be biased. Obviously, I like Nico and stuff, but I think Livramento is and can be and will be a better player. I think he's physically better. I think he's better defensively. And, you know, Nico's sort of better scores came from him, you know, getting assists and goals and whatever in the champ, which I'm not saying Livramento can't do. He can definitely do it. He's done it in the Prem. So, yeah, there's an exciting prospect here because, you know, if we like to think that, you know, Southampton, obviously you're not going to retain your big guns, you're not going to retain your Ward-Prowses and stuff if you go down. But I'd like to think there's some sort of, you know, core group that they can sort of keep together with the likes of, you know, your Livramentos and stuff. That a couple of the younger boys, you know, Lavia probably moves on. Some of the boys who've done excellent in the Prem that are young, they're going to move on. Simple as, right? They're going to cash in.
Yeah.
But I do think that little Nico type of right wing back, right back, wherever he gets deployed in whatever formation. Yeah, I can't see how he doesn't rip it up. He's phenomenal. Like as an athlete, I think he's he's Premier League level. That's the difference between Championship and the Prem. It's the intensity and it's the physicality of it in terms of like your body. How fast can you run up and down the pitch? Basically, with the football, like the simple things. He is a machine, genuinely a machine. But like you said, knee injuries aren't ideal in any way, shape, or form. And yeah, hopefully he can get back to where he was. I saw the interview actually after the game, Sam, of Tino's sort of little return, and he seemed pretty emotional himself. Obviously, been out a long time, and it would have been a long road to recovery and stuff. But just that sort of relief, and you just got to hope that he's obviously going to have that that bite and that sort of that will to just sort of kick on, basically, because he probably thinks the club's in a tough position and he's been in a tough position. It's just one of them ones where like, can we battle out of this and can we sort of see the light, basically?
100%. Yeah, 100%. So yeah, it's a great opportunity for him. And it's a great opportunity for us as well, I think, potentially. You have to accept there's some risk here. Long-term knee injuries are not nice. I'm personally not going to visit it at the rare level, which is where I tend to operate. But I am going to have a look over the summer at Limited. I think at around $10, this got a hell of a lot of upside.
I didn't realize just how young he was. For some, I don't know. Like, it's not like he has been around enough for me to think he was so young, but
yeah,
23 until 2027.
He just sort of stepped in and was just because he has like a man's body. Harry's talking about his physicality. Like he's like over 6 foot. He's thick set. He's very well built, and the way he runs with the ball is it's like he just cleaves a channel into the air and just pushes people aside. So he was physically ready to play from 18. So they just chucked him in because he's brilliant, and it ended up pushing Kyle Walker-Peters over to left back. And it displaced a Premier League quality senior player. Just you have to play on the other side now. Livramento's too good. I was actually at his debut in inverted commas because it was a pre-season game. They brought him in quite late in the summer, and they had their final pre-season game against Athletic Club. I was at St Mary's watching that one. They brought him on at half time, and he absolutely tore Athletic to shreds in the space of 45 preseason minutes. And the following week, Goodison Park, opening day, he started. They were like, he's outrageous. Let's just play him. There was no consideration whatsoever for, he's only 18. He's just got here. Nothing. They just chucked him in. He's that good.
Well, you've got to think this kid was at Chelsea for God knows how many years, right? You ain't going to get ahead of Reece James, unfortunately. As good as Tino is right now, at 18, he's never going to get in front of Reece James. So what a clever move that was to sort of, let him go, or his agent or whatever. He's gone straight to Southampton, obviously Premier League club, might not be next year, whatever. But ultimately, that was such a clever move, because otherwise you're in that Chelsea sort of rat race and the loaning system and all that sort of stuff. He was like, get me out of here. I'm good enough to play Premier League football. I'm just not as good as Reece James right now, which is not many right backs anyway. And then he can show what he can do at the highest level, But no, I'm excited for him. I really am.
It's a pretty nice L15 too. Just
I thought Sam was going to mention it.
That's right. I did. You were like, Laird will mention this. I'm like, all right, here we go. And then you did. I was like, oh, yeah, maybe I'm missing something. It's a little dangerous though, because if he comes in, if they do wait until next year and he pops off for like a 85 in the opener, you better have played him in the opener. That's all.
True. But if you're buying Livramento, may I just say that maybe Cap is not the competition you should have your eye on for him. Maybe initially.
He'd be a waste in the first one, at least.
Yeah, 1 week only.
Yeah. So, Harry, do you have anyone younger than Livramento? Because I feel like Sam is staking his claim for some sort of U23 crown here, and that you should be offended by this.
I kind of am, because the player I'm picking now is actually 24.
Oh,
but does qualify for under 23s, thankfully, up until July. But yeah, no, it does feel like there's been a bit of a change of the guard. Yeah, definitely. But no, I'm going with Lewis O'Brien, that's currently on loan to DC United. I know you're going to be hoping that this fella has a bar game on the weekend. Laird for your Orlando stack. But yeah, Lewis O'Brien on loan from Nottingham Forest, obviously Premier League club, on loan to DC with Wayne Rooney, and has had 2 really good first games. Again, small sample size. There's not much to really go off. I watched the highlights of this most recent game against Montreal where he scored a goal. I mean, the goal was just a rebound. I think Klitsch hit the post. It's come out to O'Brien. He sort of slotted it on his left foot. But first game, 38 AA in a 2-0 loss as well. Obviously, he's a midfielder card. He does go back, I think, in July in terms of the current contract. I don't know whether things are going to change and he stays longer. I presume not, but you just never know. I guess it'll depend.
He'd be pretty handy in the championship, wouldn't he? That's your enemy.
He would. That's the other thing, because if you look at his all-time scores, a lot of his nice green scores were in the championship for Forest. And yeah, you're getting yourself just an industrial midfielder, basically. There's obviously, Premier League quality. You've scored goals in the Premier League. Or, he wasn't starting every game for Forest. There's a reason why he's playing for DC United, of course, right? But, he has had some good minutes and some good scores in the Prem, better in the Championship, of course, because, the quality is obviously not as good there. But I do see potentially him turning... I mean, not him on his own, but, after watching the highlights against Montreal aren't a good team in the MLS for anyone that doesn't know. But ultimately, DC did get a nice little away win there. And yeah, O'Brien was obviously decisive. And I if we can see a mixture of decisive, actions and, of course, the 38 AAs, then, I don't really see there being much downside in him. He does age out, but at that point, he might have even left the MLS in that sense. So you're getting I think you're getting like an industrial sort of Premier League / Championship level midfielder that's gone to the MLS in a team that is struggling. But that might mean that just might mean more actions for him in that sense. He's going to stand out somewhat. And I rate him. He's technically good. If you look at some of the ways he's been getting his points, he's making tackles. He's making, I think, 5 interceptions, 5 net duels, 1. If you're going around doing that every game, then the base is there, isn't it? And it's just like, I'm not saying he's cheap. Like, if you look at his rare price, I'm actually quite not shocked.
There's barely any of them, mate. There's 10, isn't there?
True. Yeah, that is the problem. Yeah, limited mins, 10 rares, 1 super, 106 limited zone. And like you were saying with the Livramento, this is something that would I be chasing the 10 rares? Probably not. But 15 quid for a limited, you might get yourself a really interesting under 23 midfielder for the next 3 months or so. Where there's there is obviously options, but you could get your hands on something decent here for a decent price.
Yeah, the end of the minting, because he went to DC, is kind of weird, because obviously we have MLS cards, but he doesn't seem to have made picture day. So it was one of those weird things where he goes from one covered league to another, or licensed league to another, but doesn't get the updated cards. Mm-hmm. And then theoretically won't get them next year unless they come out with some...
They might catch up.
No, I mean, if they get relegated, he won't. Like, I think that's a...
Oh, I see. Yeah, true. And they strike an individual deal with Forest again, which...
Right.
Yeah.
So who knows? So you could be getting whatever the XP is on these cards. You could have one of those high XP guys.
Yeah, I'm horrified to say I didn't consider that is the same argument for Livramento.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Crap, I need to buy one.
Can I just add, O'Brien did take a couple of corners on the weekend, but didn't in the first game. So I don't, read into that what you will, but it does tell me here 2 crosses, 1 accurate, and he took them from both sides according to my heat map that I'm seeing here. So but it didn't happen in the Columbus game for whatever reason.
Is that your personal heat map that you just draw while you're watching the game? Let's see here. Yeah, he took 2 corner, or no, I'm sorry. It looked like I go on RotoWire for some more set piece things. Let me see if I can pull this up. I'll give my old group some credit here, but it looks like he had 1 corner or 2 corners. I don't know why they would only show 1 there. But yeah, he and Click will share maybe, or I don't know, maybe it was 1.
I watched the highlights before. Yeah, Klitsch did take a couple.
Sorry, these are set piece crosses. So one of them must have been a short corner.
Okay.
Just a
That
waste.
doesn't help
Total
anyone.
waste. Nobody
Yeah,
needs
always.
those. But anyway, is there any talk that he stays, like through the end of the MLS season?
I mean, I've not heard anything. I can't lie. I haven't been searching for that news like rigorously. But then I think it just comes down to Forrest's situation.
Right.
Let me check when his contract ends with.
Yeah, I guess they wouldn't really make a decision until they know what.
So,
Yeah.
You're doing next
yeah,
year.
I'm not sure. So, Sofa's just telling me there's contracts until the 16th of July 2023 with DC, but I'm
Yeah.
not seeing where his contract is with Forest. But
Well, they only signed him in the summer, didn't they? So he's
okay,
brand new. The old championship scores are from when he was with Huddersfield, I want to say.
yeah,
And so he is it Huddersfield? Yeah, Huddersfield
Yeah.
Towns. He was great for them.
he was.
They signed him and Harry Toffolo in like a double deal. So if they go down, I mean, I would be surprised if they weren't interested in using him. To be honest with you, if they stay up, clearly they don't want him at this level. But I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of those weird things. Yeah. Like if they stay up, then maybe he stays
Out.
in America.
There is an option to buy, and his contract at Forest is 2026. His current market value 8 mil. Like we're talking about a very decent, English league player here. So I don't know. I just can't see how he doesn't really. There's going to be down games, of course, but yeah, I don't know. I don't want to say he's too good for the league, but I do think there's elements of that.
Well, I'm certainly hoping that he can just rack up the defensive stats this weekend because they don't have the ball at all. So, for anybody who's curious where my lineups are this week. Anyway, Sam, do you have an old guy now?
By Harry's standards, he's on his deathbed, but I think he's like mid to late 20s. So I have Birger Meling for you from Rennes, Meling. Player who is currently taking advantage of an injury to a colleague in the nicest possible way, because Adrien Truffert, under 23 left back, has been ruled out for what I believe is the rest of the season. And unfortunate for him, but Meling then steps in out of the rotational role and basically just gets the run of games. The bad news is that if you haven't already got Birger Meling, like I do, you missed out on his 97 last week, which will most certainly be his highest score that he will ever post. So sorry about that. We didn't do a show last week, and he would have been my pick. So we've all robbed you of that one. But yeah, lots of AA assist in the clean sheet in a 3-0 win. Lovely stuff. Rennes right in the thick of a chase for European football with like Lille and Lyon. And so they basically, the focus is in for the rest of the season. Half the battle at this stage is like, well, who's actually trying? Who's just given up in the middle and who's got something to play for? Rennes are right on it. And Meling put in a great performance. So the bad news is you missed the big one. But the good news is, despite this massive score, first of all, in Rare, his price has gone down, which is very confusing because his L15 is still very cap 240 workable. So since I bought him in Rare, his floor has dropped by about £5, which just doesn't make any sense. The limited has actually doubled in price, but the Rare's gone down. And if you take a look at the next fixtures that he's got, so onto his scores, you've got it's absolutely dreamy. Like you've got Montpellier there who are like quite poor. That's away. That's this weekend. Angers are 20th and Troyes are 18th.
18th, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and then obviously Nice is really difficult. Fair enough. But then they have Ajaccio who are 19th.
Yeah.
Like, for Rennes, who are pushing for something here, and they're one of the stronger teams, to be playing, 3 or 4 of those teams in the next 5, it's fantastic. And then if you go to his L15 scores, just isolate the last 15, I believe I'm right in saying that big one at the start there, that's about to disappear. So even if he bangs this week, his L15 probably doesn't move that much because it's just replacing that one, and it's already 43. So it's not a scenario where you miss the big one, and then if he scores well again, he's unusable. I don't actually think that's the case at all.
Yeah, that's very very enticing. I was going to add that they finish with Brest there, who's 16th. So it's not. I mean, it's a lot of very, very, very favorable. Does he play for Norway?
A bit. Yeah. I think he played one or maybe he played both actually in the recent break. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he does. There you go. So you got your June single week, 2 weeks in June, maybe to get a little extra out of him.
Maybe, yeah. I won't lie to you, Laird. I'm unconvinced as to whether or not Birger Meling is worth having like next season. Like if Truffert is back and he's back in the rotation, sure, there's an argument that if they make it into Europe, then they're gonna have to rotate the fullbacks, and Meling will get his minutes, maybe as a midweeker, or maybe against the softer teams in Liga. And if you can guess the rotations, good for you. I'm unconvinced that I'm going to be interested in that. But what I think is a very powerful end of season player here.
I think you can make the argument that the low L15 allows you to pay this off if you use them in caps through the end of the season. Like it's well worth it. What do we say the floor is? $39. One threshold is 50. Obviously you need 4 other players, but these matchups are really tasty. I wonder if he ranks pretty highly in the pick score, given his recent play. Let's see.
I've never been to this page.
Oh yeah, neither have
I.
Wow.
What are you doing? What is this wizardry?
So this is on Sorare Data. This is the pick scores tab on the Game Week Center, where you can see the pick scores of every player for the upcoming game week. Oh wait, this is for. Excuse me, that was for the midweek here. Okay. So if we go back,
is that a search thing there as well? Not just you can stick his name in. Oh, that's class.
Yeah, but I kind of wanted to see if he like ranked highly, but we can
probably will, but
we'll get to that. So yeah, so you can pretty much just search who the best pick score players are each week.
That's how people are doing it. He's just
an A right now. His scoring history, because he's probably I mean, it makes sense. He hasn't like scored that well overall, but everything else seems to be working in his favor.
Yeah, I think he got the double A for me last weekend when I popped him in on the matchup. So because he was at home as well, that definitely helped. But yeah, I think this is a nice one for the rest of the season. I don't think we've missed the boat on it either.
I wonder if I had did I can't remember if I had him in the he's actually worse in the for the French League amateur competition. There must be some pretty good Ligue 1 defenders this week. But anyway, if anybody wants to check that page out, go nuts. So, but yeah, I think through the end of the year, because the price really isn't that much, but it is like, I'm glad that you brought up the fact that when everyone's fit, he probably doesn't start or get a majority of the starts. And so it's just a matter of what happens to either him in the summer or because he looks like, what does that say? 2026 he's contracted until. So you imagine he's not going anywhere.
No. I think he's pretty happy though. He just sort of comes in and out. But for now, obviously, this is the golden patch for him.
Yep. Yeah, I like it. He's very old though. You're right.
Oh dear.
He'll be 29 in December. Whew.
Oh.
Yeah. Harry doesn't even want. Terry just checked out. He didn't want to listen. He was just like, "I'll never have to worry about this guy." Anyway, thank you to everybody for joining us. As a reminder, you can find everyone that we discuss in these videos on the Looking Up with Laird on Sorare TV watch list on Sorare Data. You can just go to my watch lists and search for it. I meant to see how far we were, if we're still the top community watch list. So we can do that while we, let's see. Oh yeah. And it's not even close. Just join everyone else who uses Sorare Data and subscribe to this. Because as a reminder, we update, as you see, we update this during the show, and this is not a live show yet. And so you will get all these names before everyone else does. And I don't know, we've had some people say that they've bought these players before, and then things that, sometimes we get them right and those pay off. So anyway, check that out. So as a reminder, please like the video, subscribe to Sorare TV. There's a lot of great stuff. I think the MLS guys are absolutely killing it lately. So both in terms of volume and quality. So definitely check all of those out if you're interested in dominating Sorare in the summer. So gentlemen, thank you very much. And I'll talk to you next week.